since then just kind of kept track of his career and his life, and he's just doing amazing things for church leaders across denominations and amazing things for leaders of faith in the marketplace. It's a lot of things that he's doing. And I remember in our conversation, we were just talking about the value of connecting to people around you. And he said something, man, that just kind of threw me. And this is deeply connected to what you said right before we got on. He said, man, a lot of us are looking for mentors and inspiration from people who are 100 steps ahead of us. So whoever the big names of the world are, we want them. We want to get their attention. We want to go to everything that they're doing.
Yeah.
And he said there's some value in that. There's some credence in that. But we lose out on the opportunity to learn from people who are 10 steps ahead of us.
Yeah.
We got the 100 and they're on their platforms and they're widely known. But what about the people who are just 10 steps ahead of us, just on the other side of something that we're looking to accomplish? And then I started thinking about, wait, man, I'm tracking people 100 steps ahead of me. But what value do I have to contribute to the people who are 10 steps behind me?
That's good. Yeah.
And why don't I take the opportunity to share that gift, talent, experience, learning with people who are 10 steps behind me? So that, corresponds with something you were saying right before we hopped on.
Wow. Yeah. I'm going to throw the question out there. Is it everyone's responsibility to turn around and give them a lob of like where they are, how they got to where they are, as they are moving forward and facing or following someone who is in front of them? Is it their responsibility? Is it our responsibility? Is it everyone's responsibility to turn around and leave behind a book or a course or a blueprint of some sort, or I don't know, the deed to a home or something? I don't know, like something that's just, is it obligatory? Like in other words, if you don't, because there are levels. We talked about this last night too. There are going to be things that we have built on top of the foundation. 1 Corinthians, I think it was Paul talking about how he waters, somebody else planted, and but God is the one who's Jesus is the foundation. There are going to be some things that when the fire comes, we're like, man, I used a lot of hay in my life. I should have used more gold. The hay done burnt up, but the thing that was eternal was the thing that stuck. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So it is the turning around and leaving back. Should that be part of the foundation as a believer, or is that really kind of a nice to have? It pads your resume, so to speak, as a human being.
Man, this is a really interesting perspective we're taking from this, because I think in the modern context, we have made it seem like this is the only version of what leaving something behind is.
Generational wealth, which is a very big topic. I don't want to say trend, but it's gained a lot of steam.
So leaving something behind is only generational wealth, or it's only writing a book, or it's only creating a course, or it's only having a conference, or it's only. And I think that minimizes in many ways the value also of what people bring, because maybe what I have to offer isn't large platform worthy, but it might be transformative for 3 people.
Okay.
So it might not get main stage, it might not get New York Times, it might not get Oprah show.
Yeah.
But what I share from my life experience is enough to change the trajectory of 3 persons' lives. Then if I never write it in a book, and it's through my relationship with these 3 individuals that I'm passing on something for them to build on, I think that's good. I don't want to say good enough, because even that is minimizing.
It feels,
but I think that is a good option as well. Because I think we tell people, like, you have to. And these are more ego things than anything else. In 2021, for a lot of people, a book is an ego venture. It's not a legacy venture. It's not a let me give something back.
Mhm.
It's so that I can say, hey, I wrote this.
Yeah.
So I think people say, well, I don't want to write a book, or I don't want to create a course, or I don't want to start my own business. I want to work for a company and be the best at this particular company or this business.
Right.
Or I don't want to start a new ministry. I want to build up the ministries in the faith communities that I'm already a part of. And sometimes we have a way of coming at people that have that perspective.
Yeah. Like if you aren't the entrepreneur, if you aren't the founder or the builder of something, then you're missing out, or you haven't fully given all you could have given or contributed to your community or to your family. Or when there's some people who, quite frankly, and we've talked about this before, should be B players.
Yeah.
C players, right? People who are the scaffold, right? Who are the supporting roles for the person who is, be it the visionary or the I don't know. Great example. Who said that you had to be an author?
Come on. See? Yep.
Right.
He gonna wake up and get started in about 5 minutes, y'all.
Nah,
I'm just holding the space.
Wait till this eye puff go down. Some of you are great editors.
Yeah.
Right? And you struggle and you wrestle and you try to find the words and the original ideas. And I'm not saying that you don't have original ideas. We're not saying that. However, where are your strengths, right? Like where can you, or do you even feel most comfortable? Yes, you want to stretch yourself and yep, got all that. However, what has God given you? What's in your hand right now?
Right now.
You're looking for all kinds of tools and resources when you got a whole rod that can split.
Yeah.
And then some of y'all are supposed to be Aaron's. Aaron, right? No, it is.
Because Aaron is older than Moses.
See, so we're going into the historical. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, how will you wrestle with if God says, I am calling you as a person with more experience, and we're just talking about life experience in general,
right?
More experience, more chronology, to be in a support role.
Yeah,
because you saw how both Aaron and Miriam was like, yo, that's baby brother. Like, don't we have gifts? Don't we have skills? And God was like, yeah, but that's not your spot.
And he said it with leprosy too. He said, "Bah, take that, get your mind right, and come back when you get all that out your system." Literally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but shouldn't that be the case anyway with older? Man. So it's so interesting. So interesting piece. So El Marie says, I think all moments of our life are valid and valuable to us and to many others in ways we may never know. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Each experience and interaction is a legacy.
Run that back. That's so powerful. That's t-shirt worthy.
It is. It really is. In many ways, or in ways we may never know, y'all, because every experience and interaction is a legacy. It's so funny. So remember when I told you about one of so there's been an interesting wave, y'all, of younger Black professionals who don't look like suit and tie professionals who are actually making bank, and they're using and leveraging Instagram to do it. Yeah. One of them hit me up, credible dude. Yeah. One of them hit me up. I told you, P, about this 2 days ago, and he's like, "Hey, when you're ready, let me know. If you want to get into the space of was cryptocurrency, because da 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 da." And it was funny because I had multiple questions before answering, and I was like, too old to be asking. I said, no, I'm not ready. But can we keep the line of comms open? He was like, yep, let me know when you're ready to make this bread. I was like, cool. All right. It's funny because as I was telling him about you yesterday, he went live, and it's him, another dude, and another dude, all born probably like in the 90s. He might have been the oldest one. He might be an 80s baby. But the point is, they're all young, and the way that they dress. For some of us, if we would see them on the street, we would have thought that they were thugs or gangsters or some kind of we would have immediately judged them as people who just don't know. Wow. They are affluent. One of them spends 40 grand a month just in like business fees for the things that they're doing. Like it's ridiculous. And I bring up that number because when I say affluent, y'all, we're talking about affluent, right?
Mhm.
Another one, the one that hit me up, was a part of some of the groups that we, or individuals that we are kind of modeling and looking at, some of their financial models and how they do things. So I'm just thinking, okay, legitimate. They bring up, this is man, this was such a great live. So it's three of them, and then they bring up somebody, I guess, who was like heckling in the chats, and he comes up.
They brought him on.
They brought him on. They said,
Love
it's like we want to show love.
It's different.
And this is the one that brought him in. I think it was the more mature out of the three. Said, no, let's bring him in. Let's bring him in, see what he has to talk about. So this guy he's about 44, 45, right? These kids, I want to say kids, are like 25, 24, like they're in the 20s, right? And he then starts going off, but not angry, but still like in a very like, man, y'all know what y'all doing, but the way that y'all teaching it is not right. Like he's just going. And then he talked about some of the technical stuff I was trying to follow, but one of the other guys who was like in the top left corner was like, you know what? Hold on, let me bring up the email to show you that can cover up to 80% of He was like, that they don't do that unless you My man finds the email, shows it to him. Let me just say how this happens. As they're going through this process, we're also in this kind of culture where we're calling each other king and queens, and I've got my thoughts about that.
Yeah, me too.
I got my thoughts about that, but they said it in a respectful way where they even called him OG, like, because he's been doing the things that they were doing as well, but he didn't know the new ways that these guys are doing it. I'm pointing like this because I'm pointing like how I saw them in the Instagram live. So here's what's happening. After they respectfully bring up these different points and show their receipts of what they were doing, my man kind of toned out like, I was wrong. Hey, y'all have a good. he was going to like leave the live. Like, no, hold on, don't leave just yet.
Yeah.
And then they were saying, listen, you got to understand that there is a gap, even in the financial. Y'all, this is even in the financial. Yep. And these are the young kids talking about this, how they're doing things versus how the older heads are just like, no, this is how we do it with the credit cards and all of that stuff. It's legit stuff, y'all. And he's like, there's a gap. And what we need to do is to learn that you can school us, but we can school you too. And then they started bringing up older mentors that they follow that this guy also would have respected probably more off rip, and was like, we need to connect you with so-and-so because he is who we also connect with. And he's 48. Okay. You 44. Yeah. And y'all in the same. All of that to say, the live counter started to go down, but the watch. Of course. And then one of the younger kids said, you know what?
Of course.
It's interesting, but I'm kind of frustrated. This is after now he left, so they left on good terms. And it's interesting because in the comments they're like, yo, give it to him. And none of them were on that. None of them were on that, right? Out of total respect. Okay. So he gets off, and then one of them say, you know what I don't like? What I hate is the fact that when we had this little contention, it was spiking. It was like, we love the contention and the arguments but then when we all started to come in one accord, the views started to drop. And he was like, this is what I want for our people, like where we can be able to be in a place where we can be in one accord, but we love that. We embrace that. Anyway, all of that to say, this whole older versus younger, they actually came to a meeting of the minds within about 10, 15 minutes. But this is when he came in talking about, I make more than you. Like he was coming in hot.
He was hot.
And they kept their composure. And I've never seen outside of the church realm, y'all. I've never seen the perspective of, you got these gentlemen who are not only wealthy, but don't look like how you think they should look. Not only maintaining composure, but respecting him and showing him some of the game at the same time. I said, wow, this is what community looks like.
I mean, it goes back to what El Marie said. Each experience and interaction is a legacy we leave.
Yeah.
Each experience and interaction is a legacy that we leave.
Yeah.
And how can now we rethink our interactions?
Mm-hmm.
Let's think about all controversial topics in the church, and how often do we have a situation where no one is actually talking to each other?
No.
Where one camp is doing videos and think pieces and smear campaigns, and another camp is doing videos and think pieces and smear campaigns. But if I really underscore that beyond products, beyond videos, beyond books, beyond events, that my conversation is a legacy.
Mhm.
And I'm going to think differently about how I approach each and every conversation. I love what Carmela says. Everybody's role does not have to be upfront.
Right.
We are often mentors without even realizing that we are or officially have the mentor title. And I remember years ago, went to the circus with the family. This was several years ago. And while everybody was paying attention to the performers, I was paying attention to the people dressed in black holding the ropes. Because without the people in the back holding the ropes and making sure things happen on time, the people with the headsets, the people who never get spotlight treatment, there's no show.
Yeah.
And some of us need to see the value of never being in the spotlight.
Never.
You might not ever. You might not ever, never.
There's still a subtle praise that happens in church for people who used to be in the back, who eventually get a microphone and a stage.
Yeah.
Don't know how to break that, but there is we still have a hierarchy of talent.
Oh yeah.
In the church community, and I think that what's difficult is the early church didn't have such a hierarchy. They had lanes, they didn't have a hierarchy. Pretty sure that there were people gunning for Peter and them's job, but when they realized that in order to pray and preach like Peter, you also have to succumb a level of persecution that you
don't want that.
So it's interesting, right? Because now that I'm thinking about this, NP, please correct me if I'm wrong. Was it the entire community that after they were fed and after they did that, they were supposed to branch out as well? Or was it really more so the apostles who were given that role? I'm talking about personal discipleship now.
Yeah.
And this is just a question I'm putting out there, where they were like, it's our job to go in, plant seeds, and then the community changes. I haven't really seen, though, in scripture. This is where I'll need some help to get some context here, where that community then, like the Corinthians, then turn around and do the same thing for their neighboring. And the reason why I'm asking that is because what does that even look like for ministry? Because we like to we talked about it last week, right? So I'm even coming in and saying, well, even what we brought in last week, does that even have a limit too, as far as what people should be doing when it comes to their personal relationship with Jesus and how they interact and engage with their community when it comes to witnessing and sharing the gospel?
When you talk about this hierarchy, and I think one of the biggest errors that we make in biblical interpretation and modern application is prescribing every scenario for everybody.
Yeah.
So, Paul was like, listen, I wish everybody was like me. I wish everybody was not in a relationship. You was celibate like me, so you could just travel all over the place and preach, right? Like
Paul was on something else.
That was his joint. That was his joint. And I think so. We assume, the disciples perform miracles. So the evidence of my discipleship is performing miracles. But it doesn't say that every disciple, follower after Jesus, performed miracles. We have some disciples who were sent forth. They became apostles. Disciple means to follow after. Apostle means sent forth. There were some apostles that were preachers and teachers, but every follower of Jesus was not a preacher and teacher in that way. There There are some that get an elevated recognition in the text from their experience.
Yeah.
So I think we've created this thing, and I think it goes back to the pulpit.
Mm.
We prize that because we have inadvertently told people that this is the only space that you can actually declare that you're a believer, that you are called, that you're a disciple, that you have a ministry. And if it is not recognized from behind this pulpit, then it doesn't really count. It's minimized, it's marginalized. But there are so many people. When you think about the movement of the ministry of Jesus, the ministry of Jesus had to be financed.
Somebody had to pay for it.
That person never gets recognition. When you look at, let's take for example, Joseph of Arimathea, right? Jesus buried in the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea because Joseph of Arimathea could afford to have a tomb.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the only notice that I get about Joseph of Arimathea is when he comes and takes the body of Jesus along with Nicodemus, prepares it, buries the body of Jesus. I don't get nothing before. I don't get nothing after. It's whatever.
Yeah.
I don't get Joseph of Arimathea preaching no sermon. I don't see him having a house church. I don't see him casting out no demons. But his ministry is just as vital and valuable.
Yep.
To when the apostles say, "No, we don't do food distribution.
That ain't our thing.
That's not our thing." So
yeah.
I think we've created this hierarchy that says the people behind the curtain, behind the scenes, the Barnabas, the Ananias, aren't really. It's cute, but they're not really valuable. They're not really contributing.
Yeah,
they're not really on the front lines. And I love what Leonore says. But ain't we all going to the same heaven?
Yeah, yeah. and let's not get it twisted, right? There is hierarchy in heaven. The problem is the mindset. There's, if we subscribe to the notion, it's not in the Bible, but if you subscribe to the notion that the amount of stars in your crown is going to coincide with the amount of people or lives that you've touched.
Now I'm gonna get my goat on that.
And there will be no starless.
Where? Where we get that? Sorry.
So let's just say, now we already established that ain't in the word. let's just say that this is the case.
Yeah.
I show up with one crown. P, you got like 12,000 crowns. I mean, sorry, one star. You show up like 12,000 stars. Like
we gonna beef?
And let's not get it twisted. Like, in order for you to house them 12,000 stars, like your crown sitting.
You got it to be decked, be dazzled.
Like your joint is looking like the Burj Khalifa.
yes.
Right?
Top of the top.
And we all throw our crowns though at Jesus' feet. And I think that's the mindset is, even if there was some demonstration of what I did on earth visually or whatever in heaven, it's not to Leono's point, it's not gonna matter. It's because there are seraphims, there are cherubim, like there are elders.
Yeah,
we still don't even fully, but there are elders. Right. There is a hierarchy that's happening. I will
without turning your body. How you got 4 faces? You don't have to move.
Some 4-dimensional types. So Isaiah 14, Lucifer said, I will be like I will ascend. Yeah. There was hierarchy, right? The problem was that he couldn't be okay staying in his right. So if we can't do that here on earth, yeah. Shout out to Dr. Jason, man. This dude, then it's going to listen, everything that's happening here, thy will be done, thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven, will be exponentiated in heaven. So the experience that we have with the indwelling power of the Spirit is going to be exponentiated in heaven. We have no relationship with God, and it's that relationship is going to be exponentially. As a matter of fact, you will feel out of place because the people who do have relationships with him, even if it was for the moment before he decided to close things up, it doesn't matter. The point is, you not having a connection, him saying, I don't know you. He didn't say, I know you a little bit. He said, I don't know you at all. It's going to exacerbate the actual dynamics of the community because you don't know him.
You ever been to a place where somebody invited you, but you ain't really know nobody there?
All the time, man.
Sometimes it's the worst because you don't know nobody.
Yeah. But what we do have, we have a skill set that really don't matter when you get to heaven.
Yeah, it does.
You gotta finagle, work your way in, the small talk, and then you don't need all that.
No.
Yeah, but it does feel very, very. Leonard says, "Oh, actually, no. Let me pull up what Donna has here, and then I was looking in the wrong spot. Did you want me to read it or?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So Donna says, conversations matter, great or small, and behind the scenes are the backbone value that you may never ever see. So she says, there's a song that says, quote, the part that no one sees, that no one knows, labor that seldom shows, the silent part where honor is not bestowed, but there is one who sees and will reward each act of charity. The hidden part done from the heart, the hidden part that Jesus knows, end quote. She says it's an 80s song, and so we all throw our crowns, at his feet. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if you got the four-dimensional, and then you see everybody else going, and you like, I don't know, God, this sitting right. Like, look at what I accomplished. Like, let me tell you something.
Look at my views.
Now it says there's going to be no more death and no more sorrow. But you ain't going. You're like, we doing what? Get him out.
Yeah. Like run my man out. Put him to the bit.
Give you that crowd. I mean, I say it in jest, y'all, but it's not. The mindset is going to. It's going to change. And here's the thing: there's still going to be some things. You better believe there are going to be some things that you still are going to have to work out. The difference is you're going to have a willing heart to want to do that. Okay, I'll leave it at that. We think we're just going to be sitting around floating on clouds playing harps with David.
And if that's the case, eternity sounds boring.
Give yourself the first 10,000 years to realize I finally made it. Then come to and start having some questions like, yo, Adam, what was really going? Why you ain't? So I think that, we're in for some surprises as far as just what we think.
Oh yeah,
being in heaven will look like, and also the new earth.
Yeah.
Eyes
not seen.
Yeah, you know what I found out? Side note, I found out that I think is it like 15 days in solitary does dramatic harm to prisoners. Like I think it's like 2 weeks or something like that, where they just have no interaction. And so I think about the 1,000 years that the enemy is going to be spending on earth while we all in heaven, while he's actually, I was like, wow, the mental and the detrimental impact that he's just gonna have to just sit with his decisions, which is crazy. Yeah, I know you've seen what I'm seeing.
I got you.
Yeah, so okay, so Leonor, so I think about those who think they're a part of the 144. That listen, okay. 144,000.
Okay,
I'm not gonna get too deep into this.
You go, because
I won't get too deep into this, but I will say this: Ranko Stefanovich's commentary on what the 144,000 is.
You gotta give me some context on who Ranko is.
Oh, okay. So he he's the author of the book. Which one? Because I know his brother has one too. Daniel. Dang, you're not even gonna help me, huh? Hold on, hold on, hold on.
Got it. He'll fill us in.
Yeah, hold on. Revelation. What is it called? Revelation of Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah,
So it's an orange book. And it's got a picture of Jesus on it. And okay, so he spent his entire dissertation is really based on 2 verses in Revelation 5, but he unpacks this idea, which I think is just it's a great way of looking at it, at what you see, what you see, or what John saw versus what John heard versus what he saw. And he does this parallel so that when John heard something, it was kind of in a generic or general form, right? But then when he saw something, it was blown out. Or when he heard something, it was more specific, but then when he saw it, it looked different, even though it was still the same, but it was expanded upon what he saw. So when you look at the text, it says he heard a number. He heard, y'all. When he saw, it was a number that no man can number. So here we are. Well, there's some people who believe. Dr. J, you hitting it, man. But this is controversial. This commentary right here, what he just put it is controversial because it's like, how can you say that it's symbolic? There's a specific number. Oh my goodness. And then there's the other side of like, it's not symbolic, it's not real, it don't even matter. So you got 2 ends of the spectrum.
Carlos was like, of the trillions of humans who have lived.
Let's say
symbolism is huge, and we're gonna have to do like a whole weekend on symbolism and Revelation.
Going in, and so here's the here's the caveat is it's not necessarily that it's only 144 that are saved, but it's like there's this upper echelon. They're the ones that are singing the songs. And but let's just say that was the case, y'all. Let's just say that was the case.
Okay, let's say it was. Let's go with it. Let's say that's the case.
You mean to tell me? Going back to what OG Carlos was talking about just now, you mean to tell me that after the billions of people who have passed before you currently exist in the year 2021 of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, that you somehow
I got something to throw on top of it as soon as you're done.
Just from a statistical perspective, you somehow got into the into the creme de la creme of, if that even exists. Oh man, you just from a logical perspective, y'all. So now you not only, based on what your belief system is, you not only consider yourself of the group that you're in a remnant, but now you're saying, but I'm the remnant of the Lord help us, Lord.
And out of all the countries in the world.
Yeah.
Out of all the countries in the world.
Right. It's crazy. It's crazy.
We still think God speaks English, though.
Oh, we do. Yeah. Man, wow. Okay. So, we did kind of go down that rabbit hole just a little bit. This has nothing to do with what we were talking about earlier. But the point is that even when we are in heaven, there are going to be roles. There already are. Yeah. And so if we're saying that your will be done on earth as it already is in heaven, heaven has people and individuals already doing things that are in their lane. Right. The 4-winged people don't have the 6 wings.
They don't.
The 6 wings don't have, I don't know if they do or not, but they don't have knees to bend down in front of God.
Oh no.
I don't know. But the point is, if we can't do it down here, we're gonna struggle. We're gonna be looking at the wrong thing when we get up there. To then come back down, because we think that we're just up there for a little bit, and then to come back down and to it says Ronnie Vanderhorst said that that we were made for earth. Yeah. Heaven is a 1,000-year vacation. Yeah. Does that mean that the principle?
See, you start trouble.
Will we be fruitful and multiplying again on the new earth?
Since we ain't gonna be in heaven. It's in heaven.
It's in heaven, right?
We ain't saying that about the new earth. See,
get down to the new.
You start trouble. And that points out something. Well, it goes back to what we were talking about before originally, if we recognize that if there are systems
Mhm.
and hierarchies and roles
Right.
in heaven,
Yeah.
and there's an acceptance and embrace of these roles and responsibilities, then I should look differently upon what I'm gifted with. And there is I want
Yeah.
us to understand that there's a
That's a good
difference
fallback.
between accepting your station and your role and your lane.
Mhm.
There's a difference between that and not living up to the role, station, and lane to which you are called. Because some of us self-sabotage
Mhm.
and we say, well, sometimes we say, well, that's not my responsibility, that's not my lane, or I'm not into that sort of thing. When the truth is, if we translated that,
Mhm.
sometimes it's I'm scared to do the thing, to run in the lane that God has called me to run in.
Yeah.
So,
Or
so
no
I'll pick,
longer
I'll
or
pick
no
this
longer
big
feel
thing.
worthy.
Yeah, or oh man,
Yeah.
as if your worthiness was was a part of the decision making.
Come on, Isaiah 6. Come on. Yeah. Right. The part of the decision making. Y'all, listen. There are things that Isaiah, God didn't wait for him. God didn't put the coal on his mouth and his lips before he entered the temple.
No.
He was dirty when he went in. And the decision that God had was for him to experience him in his current condition. And then when he said, wow, we won't have, many of us, if not all of us, won't have the wow, who am I?
Yeah.
I can't even, until we have the God encounter. I'm not talking about like secular imposter syndrome where you're insecure about the skills and abilities that you have, and you struggle with work, and or I'm talking about like spiritually, where you just from an existential standpoint say, wow, this thing is bigger than my job, my life. What am I? And then he says, good, gotcha. Let's go ahead and clean you up. And it's like he doesn't want you to stay in that space for too long. We talked about it before, because when you start staying in that space, there's doubt, and then that doubt turns into, well, this is who I am, so we just gonna live out the way that God is like, no. Now that you're in that space, boom, there's the code. Shut up, got you. Get up, get up, get up, get up. As a matter of fact, I got a job. Who gonna send me? Like, he asked the question just when like God has it set up like back to back. You know what I'm saying? I think it's so cool. But yeah, you don't have to wait for you to get right, get it together all the way before the decision God has already made for the assignment. Now, are there some things that you probably need to go through and to develop? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that he hasn't already assigned you before. I mean, if that was the case, none of us would have been assigned. He wouldn't have thought to assign any of us.
Anything. So since we go in there,
yeah.
Can we talk about just a little bit so we can demystify this? Can we talk about PR and perception? Because this is what happens to us, Chris. We'll say, hey, I could do something, but nobody would listen to me, or I don't have the opportunity that this person has, or I'm not connected, or I don't have.
Goes back to that hierarchy of who's on stage versus who's not.
Can we talk a little bit about PR and how PR makes? I'll just let you start.
No, be taking. I'm lobbing it back to you.
Okay, you go lob it back. So you can understand in this world, and it's been like this, y'all, for the longest time.
Yeah.
You can pay
to play
for perception.
Absolutely.
Any music people on here know about something called payola? Any music aficionados on here? Understand, y'all, back in the day, I don't know if this is the case today. Somebody help me out with this. But back in the day, it was a real thing. If you wanted to get your record, let's go back to the time where we were spinning records.
Okay.
If you wanted to get your record spun on the radio, you had to pay the DJ. And the more money the DJ got, that's the records they played. So it wasn't necessarily that the music was popular.
So it wasn't about talent and reach.
It was about financial backing.
Shmoney.
And let me burst some bubbles,
Mm-hmm.
because we coming right down the middle on this.
Yeah.
If you're honest, some of the people that we look at and celebrate or acknowledge for being on certain platforms aren't that good.
Hey, that's
on me now, y'all. They're not that good.
Hey, listen.
They're just placed in front of you. PR and marketing, they're just placed in front of you enough times. Yeah. McDonald's is not that good. It's just placed in front of you enough times that it eventually becomes part of your subconscious. So you translate good feeling with that McDonald's commercial that uses those specific colors and that specific music and that specific lighting to generate.
I'm not gonna do that. They'll shut us down. Oh, paying royalties.
So we assume if I don't have that flash, that glitz, that glamour, that appeal, then I shouldn't do anything. When in many cases it is manufactured impact that is only sustainable if you keep pumping money behind it.
P, where are you going with this? That's just one half of it.
Oh, come on. I gotta pipe down.
That's just one half. Nah, you got to bring the other half in now.
Come through.
I'm not too sure where you.
It's up there. It's up there. It's up there.
Complete it. Okay, caught it. So, no. I threw it back because I don't. It's
nope. See, nope. You go, because I'm gonna look up something. I'm gonna show it to everybody.
Okay. So if you're talking, and let's just put it in there. So El Marie says that it's called the psychology of marketing. Marketing in and of itself is not bad.
Not bad.
There is a dark side to marketing where they play on fear. I was actually one of my boiler room jobs when I first worked. My first job actually in New York City was based on impulse buy, one call close, right? We were selling these packages, y'all, vanity memberships, who's who memberships, y'all. Oh my goodness. It's the most legal, but arguably most unethical. Oh my. Anyway, your boy was selling these glorified LinkedIn profiles to people who just, anybody who wanted it. From 99 to like 5K. Like it was, and I actually sold, I think we talked about this once. I actually sold a 5K and I felt so, I was blown away, but I felt guilty at the same. That's a whole bunch of feelings. Like, you really gonna buy? And they monitoring the call, so I couldn't even be like. She's like, okay, thank you, man. So okay, so let me get back to it. So these kinds of marketing plays into the part of you that isn't thoroughly thinking through an option. I actually, the pressure that we had, especially for these one call close, I had to, no matter if the person was driving, and actually got a person to stop, pull over his car, and to give his credit card. And because they were like, you cannot waste these leads cost money, rightly so, which they do. But man, to what extent are we trying to get this money? So that's like playing on the impulse, where like, because if you get off the phone with them, you will not get them again.
They're not coming back.
They're not coming back. So you got to follow the script down to the T, follow the rebuttals. So there's that. The other side, though, and there are many different kinds of dark forms of marketing. The other side, though, is fear. I'll give you a great example. Yeah. Mouthwash.
Fear of missing out.
Mouthwash was created, if you look at some of the history, was created out of fear. The way that they played on, you need to use this, what is it called? Like this, what is it called? Like the scientific name of it, like an antiseptic rinse or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
In addition to brushing and flossing, and the dentist never asked, hey, have you ever used mouthwash?
Never asked that question.
Never. It plays onto the whole halitosis piece. As a matter of fact, if my understanding is correct, halitosis was designed as part of that marketing ploy.
Oh,
Yeah. So now the fear of bad breath
mm-hmm.
causes you not just to want to brush and floss, but I gotta get that
particular brand.
I gotta get that one because it just and rightly so, it makes you feel fresher too. But it's rinsing away something that probably so the point is, these forms of marketing plays on what we would call the instinctive parts of us that I appreciate the putting fear to some people's fear. Hey, listen, so some people just be using mouthwash, like they need to actually brush.
Yo, floss.
Man, like floss, like,
Jeez.
So, okay. So all of that to say that when I think about how and this is why some people are not just mad at God, they're mad at the church, is because for a very long time, we have understood the psychology of marketing. We've leveraged it without even realizing that we've leveraged it. And we have scared people into believing that if you don't know God, you're going to hell. If you don't do certain things, you will miss out. And here's the thing, y'all. Here's the thing. With all good marketing, they will give you the benefits and they will give you the disadvantages.
Yeah.
So any marketing that's only playing up the good and the feeling, because we didn't talk about that as well, but the other dark side of marketing is like part of the impulse buy, or you can get this and you can do this and you can do this, but they're not telling you some of the trade-offs and the costs, counting the cost. Then that also is a dark form. It just isn't, packaged in that dreary and doom and gloom way.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's lying by omission, really. But then there's another side where it needs to balance out. Okay, what does this look like biblically? P, I feel like I'm going all over the place, so I'm gonna give it back to you. Here's how God did it. When Jesus showed up, if you look, I think it's from Isaiah 66, when in Luke chapter 14, he's reading the scroll from Isaiah, and he says, the Spirit of the Lord has come upon me. And he starts, boom, to preach the good and to free it's all of the good. It's the good. It's the liberation of people who are oppressed, the people who are looking for freedom.
Mm-hmm.
If you read the surrounding text in Isaiah, it's not
dark.
all that ain't.
It's dark.
But the context of where Jesus was, he said, you don't need all of that. I'm giving you this because, first of all, this is my role and my assignment right now.
Yeah.
And we know that because in John 17, he says, Lord, Father, I have completed, I have finished the work, the assignment you have called me to do. Like he begins it saying that.
Yeah.
I've done it, right? What did he do? Luke 14. But it didn't look like he freed anybody, did it? Well, he did miracles. He did, but it extended beyond just the here and now or the there and then where he was. It was more so eternal. And he said it before he even died on the cross. Oh, that's a whole nother thing too. He's like, I'm done. I finished it. So he said, I finished it without even saying it is finished when he was actually on the cross. That's a whole nother thing, y'all. But all of that to say, there's that one side of marketing. But then there's another side. Mm-hmm. You look at Revelation 14, which is, so Jesus in Isaiah 66, he's preaching gospel, y'all.
Yeah.
Gospel.
Yeah.
Revelation 14 is gospel too. Beginning like verse 3. Fear God. Give glory to him.
Yeah, for the hour
is here. And if anybody worships y'all gonna listen, it's some dark. It's rough. Nobody want to talk about the second and the third angel's message. Well, maybe some people do, but
no,
we take it out of context. Many people do, but all I'm saying is that it says it, right? John says, I heard, maybe he saw, we talked about the dynamic between the two, preaching an everlasting gospel. But then we look, Luke 14, Jesus was also,
Mm-hmm.
or Luke
Mm-hmm.
4, he was also preaching an everlasting gospel. So there are these pieces, y'all, that we have to put together and to understand that what we have, I think, done as a church. When I say church, I mean every denomination has their slant, has their
Everyone.
biases,
Everyone.
has the right cultural norms, and it's rightly so. However, it's how and what we're doing to try to get people into those communities.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that's where the hidden agenda is many of the times. I don't know if that's where you were going with it, P, but
Yeah, if we listen more than we talk, we would learn a lot. We would learn so much. And it would really change the dynamics of many of our interactions with people.
yeah,
I'm gonna pull this up real quick.
yeah.
You know, we don't get deplatformed for this.
Listen here. Listen here. This is a real thing.
This is a real thing. It's a real thing. So let's just say we want to, we want 10,000 subscribers.
Mm.
Right? And somebody just purchased somebody. It's telling you on the page. It's telling you on the page in the bottom, people are just grabbing these joints. If we wanted to boost our joint by 10,000, all it would take was $1,000. And the challenge with this is that I'm giving off the perception. Remember what we were just talking about? No one would listen to me because I only have 10 if right. Videos are your thing. Yeah. Nobody would listen to me. And quite often the way that the system is set up, we judge people based on what the numbers say.
Yeah.
We decide whether or not we're going to listen to you based on what the numbers say. But I can make the numbers say whatever I want them to say.
Yeah.
And I can't judge the true impact of my message based on certain KPIs.
That's real.
You cannot judge the
including the stars in your crown.
You can't. And that's why it's so important for us to ask the question, okay, what am I leaving for someone else to pick up?
Right.
What am I leaving for somebody else to pick up?
Because don't get it twisted, you are, period. So it's not
if you are super intentional about it or not, right?
Yeah. So and I'm glad you said what am I and not what will I, because you already are.
Yeah. It's happening.
Breadcrumbs, right? Yeah.
And for the most part, I was talking to Colleen about this earlier. Where, we were wrestling, you're just kind of talking back and forth.
Yeah.
People don't tend to take advice as much as they look at your model. They
going back to the OG on the financial live IG live stream. He was like, I've been watching y'all I've been watching. He's like, I gotta say something now.
See, I've been watching.
He's been watching. And it's funny because even in that engagement, he wasn't discrediting the fact that what they were saying wasn't true. It was.
Right.
He was just upset about the way that they were saying that certain things are easy to do. He's like, well, in back of him, and he always, it's so classic. Right. Even the word, he was like, because when I was doing this, I've been doing this since, and and they're like, times have changed.
Times have changed.
You don't have to go through in order to get to that point that you had to back in the late 90s, sir. Like,
keep talking, man. I was looking up something else.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, I want to look at, just circling back to El-Marie when she brought up, and I'm glad she actually used the term, the psychology of marketing. That's all the gospel from since Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, 16 was. God planted the seed and he said, let me plant the promise. Let me tell you what's going to happen. First of all, there's some things that now ramifications that got to happen because of disobedience. But at the end of all of that, I'm putting enmity, putting separation, this uncontrollable force that you do not have power over between you and the enemy. That's my doing. Y'all, listen, this is how come when we talk about free will and all of that, God said from the very beginning, I'm creating something that you have no power over. There's going to be a war, a tension between who I've created. Well, I mean, he did create both of them, but between y'all and him. Okay. And then the second thing was, it's not just going to end there. This war, this tension is going to come to a head, literally, because this snake will strike at your heel, well, the one to come's heel, but that heel gonna crush his head.
Mash up.
It's a fatal blow, right? Boom. That's marketing right there. That's the trailer. Some of y'all love.
Oh, that's good. That's good, Chris.
Listen, have you ever just watched trailers on YouTube and just felt full?
Stay out of my business.
All of the trailers coming up for like 2022. You're just like,
I watched 30 minutes worth. I'm watching all these.
And you know why it's so fulfilling for many of us? Because it's just hitting all of the psychological triggers. It's punchy. We don't even know the ending, but it's action packed. It leaves you on a cliffhanger, and as soon as you're thinking about that one, another one pops up. You're like, oh man. A lot of us do this old man, even when it comes to performative preaching. Whole nother situation. We won't get into that.
Oh, yeah.
So then we go from Genesis, and all God is doing is building on top of this marketing campaign of the one to come, the one to come, the one to come. That's the singular marketing campaign. Somebody is coming to fix it.
Yeah.
Somebody is coming to save us.
Yeah.
So that we hit the New Testament, they still looking for that person. Problem is, we done messed up the marketing. Somebody is going to come, but he's going to look like this.
Yep.
We got to do this, and we have to do this in order for him to. So we messed up the marketing in between, so that by the time he shows up, that ain't him. Marketing don't align with what we. PR department definitely didn't tell us that.
Yeah.
Did. We just forgot. And I think that we're in this, and it's cyclical. We're in this space again.
Absolutely.
Where he's showing up.
Really.
Listen, he's showing up.
He's
showing, not that he's showing up. And we're like, nah, I don't look like that.
Spirit of God is literally showing up.
Latter rain.
We're just like, nah, that
the second
can't be it. We're still waiting.
Yeah.
Let me tell y'all.
Hey, shout out to Michael Shelton, man. He used to be one of the drum corps. He was an OG.
As
back
an OG.
in the day. Yeah. We had the whole conference thing, man. Now this man a whole pastor now.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, man.
He crushed it.
Yeah. So listen, man. I just when I think about how we understand the word, but then we somehow use it to our own benefit. And then that's not what I'm tripped up about. I'm tripped up about the fact that God in his grace still finds a way that even in the jacked up PR machine we have created to even get people to want to even be aware of who he is, he's like, I'm gonna still use that. They're gonna come in, and there's gonna be some things that we gotta unlearn. Paul talked about that a couple weeks before.
Yeah.
But I'll still bring him in. Okay, last thing before you bring it up. There's a reason why Jesus had multiple parables when he said the kingdom of heaven is like this.
Yeah, break this down.
The kingdom of heaven is like this, and the kingdom of heaven is like this. Because even that, as he's preaching, we said the gospel, right? He's coming, he's saving, we're living like it. And with that gospel comes heaven, but not just heaven, the king. The kingdom of heaven. He didn't talk about the atmosphere and the domain of where we will be staying for 1,000 years. He talked about the government that is running everyone that we can't see right now. He says the kingdom, the embodiment of the people, the structure, the policies, the rules, the regulations that is based on love. Let me tell you what that's like. Yeah. And he says it in so many different ways. Why does he say the kingdom of heaven? Because the kingdom of heaven, if we are understanding this new earth revelation, kingdom of heaven shifts. Headquarters shift.
Come on, Doc.
Headquarters. So it's still the kingdom of heaven. It's still the kingdom of heaven. And this is why, and this is why, listen, P, because if it then is no longer in heaven, but it's on earth, then technically it's so here's what's crazy. There's so many things that God has not revealed to us. And he, because what if he said the kingdom of earth? That would make no sense to us. None.
I'm lost.
But we know that the governing body and how he operates the universe, right there. There's another thing that changes. There's going to be no night, no sun. There are things that are not, but what he's marketing, he's marketing what the main thing is. And he's hitting it from different angles because somebody may not understand it from the agricultural perspective. Yeah. So let me hit it from the financial perspective, that somebody found a pearl and they sold everything in order to purchase the entire field. Oh, y'all don't got it like that? Cool. Well, a sower went to sow. And he's just, and I think that what we're not doing is the effort that Jesus did to try to hit and to help us to understand what the relationship and what the body and how he operates and how he thinks and how he loves and how he's doing it from different ways and perspectives. We're not doing that. We're not putting in the effort to try to even I'm gonna shut up now. But
no, let me link a chain to this.
Yeah.
Because part of the unique reality is that sometimes the understanding from multiple perspectives and reaching people in multiple areas requires my interaction and relationship with someone who does something differently than I do. So, yeah, I make signs, but you bake cakes.
Thank you. Yeah.
And it's through that relationship that we have a greater opportunity to reach more people, instead of me saying, yo, man, I'm trying to make signs. I'm trying to bake cakes. I'm trying to do, no. I'm this is the thing that I get, and my contribution is good enough. The way that I enhance my contribution is actually through Parable of the Talents, through interaction with people who don't have what I have, or maybe have something similar and are exercising it in a different way.
Yeah.
So we got to ask ourselves, okay, I don't play professional basketball. That's not my thing. That's not even on a goals list, or like, you can, if you believe in your heart, no, sorry, not happening. But I have a set of things that I do.
Yeah.
That this spirit-given competence, right? In order for me to really maximize what I do, it needs to be in a relationship with something else and with someone else.
That's good. Yep.
Basketball, think about it. You're a great basketball player, but there's never been a camera on you. So you're great in your hometown.
You ain't got an agent. You ain't got, you don't have the PR.
There's no PR, there's no endorsement, there's no elite level coach, there's no TV cameras. It is only as this gift of athleticism comes into contact with
somebody else,
producers, television producers, comes into contact with clothing designers, comes into contact with graphic designers, that there's this elevation of what this person's contribution is. And for us, we say, unless I'm the all-star championship athlete, I don't want to do it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Even Jesus was like, there's some things that I have not even been designed to do. Only the Holy Spirit can, which is why I must leave.
Don't do that.
That ain't my role.
No. So Dr. J, man,
We don't want to make truth and salvation contextually in relation to someone relational to someone else's life and journey.
Yeah, because what the prodigal son needed,
Yeah,
and what the son who would not go in needed were two
right.
different things.
Two different things. Yeah, that's good. Mm,
So yeah,
mhm.
in this quick hit conversation, and Donna is listing some parables out for us to consider, and even in listing the parables,
Yeah.
Chris, I'm looking at these like thinking about, man, who was this parable for,
Right.
versus who that parable was for.
Yeah.
Because if I haven't, wasn't married, or wasn't even thinking about marriage, or never been a part of a bridal party, maybe the parable of the wedding garment don't hit me.
Nope. Yeah.
But I come from a family of shepherds.
Mhm.
So that joint, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Retrieving the value of what you contribute to the world.
Mhm.
This is really what we're coming back to.
Yeah.
Listen, if you are a elementary school bus driver, the interaction that you have with children,
Yeah.
when they step on your bus, elementary, that interaction that you have,
Yeah,
is a contribution to the kingdom. Like, you driving that school bus is kingdom business. So and there's gonna be somebody, you might not ever get it on this side of glory, who says, you know what, I had my family life was trash.
Yeah.
But Mr. Jones was my school bus driver in fourth, fifth, and sixth grade.
Yeah.
And every single morning, Mr. Jones said, hey, good morning. It's good to see you today. I hope you have a great day. And that gave me hope.
Yeah.
Mr. Jones ain't gave no speeches. Mr. Jones ain't won no awards. Mr. Jones ain't, but that seemingly little contribution has so much impact. And we pull back the idea of minimizing, because heaven is not minimizing.
That's right.
Unless you're out of pocket.
That's right.
Heaven is not like, oh man, he just is the store manager of Target.
Yeah.
She is just the store manager of Target, right? Yeah. Going back to what El Marie said earlier, I'm trying to pull it up.
And she dropped it in again.
She dropped it out again?
Yeah, he dropped it in. She on it. Shut it right
yeah. Up. Oh, Dr. Jason is like, what are the modern parables?
See, he trying to open up a whole, because y'all already know, well, some of y'all may not know how I feel about the whole canonization of scripture. There are trade-offs to everything.
Yeah.
And when we decided to officially, now I don't know the full history, y'all, so don't come for me unless I stand for you. But when we decided to officially say this is it, we also decided to say, well, there's nothing else that God could inspire through the written pen that could be deemed worthy of biblical context. Wow, what do I mean?
Yeah.
Most denominations, if not many, maybe not most, believe in someone, prophet or prophetess, who have inspired.
Most denominations do.
They got inspired writings. And even though they may not put it on the same, what it still ended up doing was we still reduced the collective capacity, where there wasn't just a Jeremiah during the time when prophets were there. There was also, and there was you had the Nehemiahs and the say that because I can't all remember who was existing at the same time. But the point is, you had them coexisting, and what we ended up doing was we then started to canonize prophets. So there's nobody after a certain period of time after this particular person, and it's like that's it. Leonore said the latter rain is falling. The reason why it doesn't feel like it's falling is because the people who we deemed or have idolized or have canonized, because they are dead now. We're in 1 Samuel chapter 3. There was no word from the Lord. Says who?
Oh, come on.
There's a difference between God not speaking and us choosing not to listen.
Oh, yeah.
And so when we've chosen to just like cut it off, there's some things that happened, y'all. So now when somebody wants to try to talk about using one of Jason's Jason's example, when he says the kingdom of heaven is like a basketball game or
Yeah.
like a military march, that's trivializing the gospel. Really?
No, it's not. It's not, because think about it. Think about how much work I have to go through to explain to you what a stone in the middle of the Jordan River meant. Versus a person who lived in that time would have just got it. They don't have to go through that exercise of understanding culture because it is their culture. The principle for us is that Jesus is taking parables are things that are relative to the culture. So what Dr. J is saying now, if Jesus was here in 2021, what would the parables of the kingdom look like?
Right.
He wouldn't say, so we're going out to sow.
Right.
That's not.
And so we're having a hard time reaching people because we're still using canonized letters. Women should be quiet in the.
That's so out of context.
Right, because we don't know the context, and so we're taking these out. We're taking these letters. They're not outdated, but we're taking these letters that were very contextual,
super contextual.
Yes, out of its time and its environment to apply directly to where we are right now. And it's like, but that's not how Jesus even used the word.
You know what that goes back to? It goes back to the example you talked about earlier of the guy who hopped on the Instagram. And he's giving the context of back in the day when I used to do it. This is how we did it.
And he wasn't wrong.
He wasn't wrong for his context.
Right. He was just on the other side of the same coin because everybody on that platform was making money.
And the principles were probably the same.
Yes.
The principles are the same.
Right.
The application and the contextualization shifts.
Hi, Leonore. Hi, Leonore. I encourage when you guys get a chance, I encourage you to just look at the history of denominations in Christianity and just look at the map and see where your particular denomination is on that map and to see where other people received revelation or vision to create a community that then became
Leonore trying to start trouble.
Yes. And I think that then come back and ask me about the remnant.
All right, so let me just listen. Okay, so a couple things. One, check out the Religious Great Awakening. The first read up on the first Religious Great Awakening and the second Religious Great Awakening. You're gonna open your mind. You're gonna be floored because you thought we started camp meeting.
Man.
Do some history. Do some history along with your Bible study.
Yeah.
All right. So the second thing is understanding contextually. The term "spirit of prophecy" was an editor's decision. The first collection of writings by Ellen G. White, E.G. White, were called "Spirit of Prophecy." When they were
biggest mistake.
When they were later edited, they became Patriarchs and Prophets, Prophets and Kings. But the first collection, the name of that first collection of combined writings before they were broken out into different books was called Spirit of Prophecy. So you see how in connotation, when we assume a name,
the exclusionary elitist audacity for us to believe or to think or to just even accept that a phrase in scripture resides with one person.
See, we got historians. We got historians jumping in.
90s. There it is. So bringing this all back. What we can tend to do, even if you know your lane, and even if you know what your assignment is, and even when you are very intentional on realizing that in every interaction, something we brought up earlier, and every experience, you are leaving breadcrumbs. You are leaving behind something. Let's call it legacy.
Yeah.
I feel like mid-30s, before your mid-30s, I think we talked about this like when I hit 35 last year, right? The
Yeah.
question of what do I want to become?
Mm-hmm.
Who am I destined to be? And then you hit that peak, and then it goes over the hill, and like, what have I left behind? Who do I want to be known for? No longer what I want to become, but known for. And now listen, everybody's timeline is different. I'm just saying that the average lifespan, at least here in the US, is like 70. So you reach the middle,
Yeah.
But point being, even with that, there are still some roadblocks that you can come across. For instance, people maybe even deifying your experience as the only way to do it.
You got to run that back, man.
Yeah. So sometimes you, if not other people, as you have reached a level of spiritual awakening, you've reached a level of community impact,
financial success,
your family is set up, personal development, maybe you just all round because you just found the right therapist.
Yeah.
And now you've unpacked everything. You can walk in and walk out of traumatic memories, and you just know how to. And if you're not careful, what you can do is you can deify that particular path that you've left behind for somebody as the only path.
Can I before you end, can I just throw another one?
Canonized your. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You sometimes we deify our particular struggle.
Wow.
As the only real struggle.
Man, thank God he didn't just say the kingdom of heaven is like this, and then he just left. Y'all go figure out the rest. He hit it from all kinds of angles. I'm pretty sure if we looked at all of the parables too, and we would dissect the perspectives that he was trying to approach, it wasn't just about who these people were demographically or where, what particular crowd was, but it probably has thematic principles, which you wouldn't get from the lost coin, that you would probably get from the wheat and the tares, which you probably wouldn't get from the sowers, which you probably wouldn't get from, and I think that just all of that to say, I think I would probably leave with these, at least from my take, Pete, with these two things. Number one, don't canonize your legacy just yet. You may have reached a certain level of success or a milestone. Pierre talked about it last night. Don't turn your benchmark into a bench.
Yeah.
Don't sit on your laurels, so to speak, and just think we here. Now let me go ahead and pave this with gold and just look back at what I've accomplished and help other people to get to where I am, and that's it. Because you stopped. So after they get to know where you are, you ain't got nothing else to give them. Right? Because I think it's the same thing that we have done to an extent. I said there are trade-offs, not saying that it's terrible or it's a bad thing, but there's something that happened when we said, this is it. Some of us, our denomination doesn't even want to embrace the fact that E.G. Dubs talks about studying the Apocrypha. We skirt around that.
We got to get Jay started.
Oh, listen. She was like, if y'all really want to go deeper, get some Apocrypha in y'all spirit. I'm not telling y'all to do that. Some of y'all don't even know where
y'all need
Nehemiah is, right?
Y'all need to stick with Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
They'll be dabbling other, but from our understanding though, back in we would think that these are the demonic books. I don't know, whatever you want. But she said it from her own mouth, y'all. But y'all look it up. I'm not saying this stuff like she's written about it. She's talked about it in very few places. And because it's like an anomaly outside of what we truly embodied for what she is, we kind of just like write it off. Like, oh, she was just only, was she? So now she has to say more than once in order for us to believe it?
Selective prophecy.
So I'm saying is don't canonize your experiences just yet. Yes, package them. Yes, turn them into, if you really believe that this is where God has you right now, into books, into courses, like to get, yes, do those things, but don't think that that's it.
Don't think that that's it.
You wrote a book and now I'm done. Really? You're still breathing.
You're still breathing.
That's one side. So don't canonize your life, your legacy. Don't canonize those things just yet. We even see it right now in scripture. Like there are people who have created innovative ways to approach and to share the gospel, but because it doesn't look like what Paul's writings look like, we don't deem them as somebody who is spirit-led.
Mhm.
Man, wow, God help us. All right. My last side of this, if you're not canonizing, we're gonna bring it back to the other side, P. What's your assignment?
Yeah.
Some of y'all don't have a problem with, because you knew the assignment, you understood the assignment, you might have even accomplished or achieved it, and now you're looking back but there are those of you who you're either looking over into somebody else's, you're trying to help, trying to you're doing everything else but what God has told you to do. Before you can leave a legacy, because there's a difference between leaving a legacy and what's the opposite of a legacy, P? Because legacy is like a good thing. I can't remember the other side, P, but you're either leaving a legacy or you're leaving behind. Man, y'all help me out. Y'all help me out with the vocabulary here. But either way, you're leaving behind something. Just get super clear. Get super clear on what the next thing it is that God wants you to do, or what the present thing is, or what the thing that he wanted you to do. You're no longer doing it. And he's like, well, until you get back here, I haven't left this spot. And you wonder why things are so difficult. I need you to get back into what I told you to do, right? And the only way that you can do that, P, the only way that you can be super clear.
The only way.
I tried to make a transition.
Oh, that was good. No, it's the only way. Y'all know the only way. Yeah. And we can deliberate, and even as we were saying, some of the points and perspectives that we bring out or share, they're not linking with you, they're not grabbing you, they're not hitting you.
Right.
So there's one surefire way, never fails.
Never fails.
Never fails.